Now welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lighting Takes. And let's get right to the news.
Well, do you know Katee Sackhoff, about 6 months ago, launched her own podcast called Blah Blah Blah?
I did know that, yeah.
Yes. Well, of course, she's gotten some Star Wars guests making the rounds, obviously. I mean, she's had Bryce Dallas Howard, and she just had Sam Witwer. Apparently, this podcast, you can find it on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. But she was talking with Sam Witwer about her nerves taking up so much of the narrative on Mando Season 3.
What?
I know, where everyone made the joke that the Mandalorian meant any
Bo-Katan?
Mandalorian, not just...
It wasn't a joke. I think there were some serious people who said that, it doesn't specify Din Djarin, so it could be anybody.
Well, she said, I was so intimidated by the amount of work that I had and the amount of story that they had given me and the faith that they had in me. I have said many times that Favreau, he held my hand throughout the season. I got pep talks all the time. He was amazing the entire time. He was like, you were right for this role the moment we hired you. Just do what you do as Bo. You know this character better than anybody. Just do that.
I like that she's getting a pep talk from Pre Vizsla. That's who voiced him in Clone Wars, so...
But he did believe in me so much. I leaned on that multiple times because there were times when my mind would start to run and I would get ahead of myself and I would get into what people were going to say and what they would think of my performance because it's Star Wars. Everyone's going to say something. And then she laughed. Everyone's going to have an opinion, and going in, you can't win them all.
No, you cannot.
Hey, we all love Bo. We just don't know how we felt about the story with her being more narratively involved than the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I think she did a fine job with the performance. I thought her story is, it's pretty good. I think the problem people had wasn't with her. No one's blaming her.
No.
For kind of taking it, it's not like she's going to read the script and be like, no, we can't do this. I don't want to, I want,
No, put Mando in there more.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people just wanted a little more, Din Djarin in the season. And maybe a little Din and Grogu.
Nothing against
I don't think anybody really had anything against her, per se. Yeah.
Absolutely not. And then they kind of talked about the Clone Wars more because, as you know, Sam Witwer was involved in that just a little bit.
Who did he ever play in that?
I don't know. Somebody Darth. Maybe somebody
former
who...
Darth, yeah.
Yeah.
No longer a Darth. Especially if you ask a certain Sidious.
Mm-hmm. But he kind of talked a little bit about, animation deadlines and prep work and how hard it is to do those behind-the-scenes jobs. He says he remembers specifically a moment when there was a pilot in the show that they needed to do something and talk about animation, and he's flying the starfighter, and they see his starfighter shoot off, and Dave's like, okay, so we need a big clunky sound, and the sound designer guy zips off. So I think in Raiders of the Lost Ark, I'm going to see if I can get that engine sound from the truck. He pulled up a library. He's like, okay, that's really cool. I need this buzzy engine sound from Attack of the Clones. He pulls that in. He goes, now I'm going to take that. I'm going to reverse it. Blah, blah, blah. And off he's going at warp speed, working so fast trying to get this sound for this one particular moment. And Whitwer's like, that dude is awesome. And he's like, I can't spend that much time on the next piece. I've got to catch up. And he was shocked. He was giving himself a hard time for being too slow. So he says that you kind of carry into things like the set of The Mandalorian when you've got 2 takes to get that key moment. It has to be perfect because you don't have time. You're working at a breakneck pace.
Yeah.
Even Katee said there was a moment in the middle of filming and you can't stop. We couldn't get Bo's helmet on my head with my wig because the helmet was made to fit my head, not Bo's head, not the wig. And then when you put on the wig, it adds a lot of space between the helmet and my head. So we're like, what are we going to do? We need the shot. And Dave literally goes, somebody made a Anne Convery, a helmet, a fan. I think it's in my office right now. I think that it's an empty dome. Let me go get it. We literally used it in the shot, and then they CGI'd it.
All right.
Yeah. So, grab it. I've got something in my office that'll work.
I got a helmet, yeah.
I got a helmet. Here you go.
Put this on, it'll be fine.
Oh, my goodness. Crazy, crazy stuff. There was some other stuff we wanted to briefly mention today. First off, yesterday, Hasbro had their...
Live stream of disappointment? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. Where there was, there was some
repacks.
There was some repaints. There was a lot of vintage stuff.
There was a lot of vintage stuff.
The Droideka for 6-inch finally showed up.
which looked good. That was the only thing
Droideka,
that I'm like,
good.
oh, that's cool.
I didn't see the stream. Could it roll into a ball? I don't even know.
It can roll into a ball, yes.
Good. If it can't roll into a ball,
I mean, that would have been stupid.
Of course, that won't loosen up all the joints and stuff, so that it won't ever be able to stand again. But whatever.
Don't worry about that.
It's fine.
I'm sure their quality control at Hasbro is doing great after laying off 1,000 people.
Grand Admiral Thrawn from the Ahsoka series looks like he got made.
He has been working out.
He has been.
Lost the dad bod a little bit.
Yes, he has. He slimmed up for his... He sucked it in to get scanned.
Yeah, he did.
And then we got another Phase 1 clone trooper.
With a Django head, essentially.
Another fun thing of note in Star Wars this week is today, Thrawn Alliance's #1 is coming out. That is the comic book adaptation of the book. So if you wanted pictures to go with the book, there you go.
Yeah, it's a good book. So
I'm curious how they're going to manage to condense it enough for comics because
it's wordy.
They can't do a word for word, obviously. It's
not that that's a bad thing, but I mean, it's definitely a lot going on in that one. So I'd be curious.
In the fun department, tomorrow HeMan Revolutions comes out to Netflix, and don't worry, this time the creators of the show promise you He-Man will be a central figure and not a background character.
Why ever would you want He-Man and He-Man? No, they called it Masters of the Universe, so it was okay. It's kind of like the Mandalorian thing. It connects to our first story.
No.
We called it the Mandalorian so that, it can be any Mandalorian. So calling it Masters of the Universe doesn't mean you need He-Man in it. I actually, you know what? I didn't hate Revelations.
I didn't either. I think the second half really helped the first half.
Yeah. I don't think it was the best. I'm actually looking forward to this if it has He-Man.
What I wanted to know is I think I saw Hordak in the trailer.
Hordak was in the trailer,
and Hordak is connected to She-Ra.
Yeah, that was like her big baddie.
Yeah. I actually liked the
You did? You watched
She-Ra
the new She-Ra
Netflix show?
Yeah.
It started out pretty weak, but by the last season, it was really good.
I watched the first season with you, and I didn't go on after that.
No, you had to struggle through the beginning because the end was worth it.
Okay.
I laughed,
I've actually heard some people who really enjoyed the later season, so yeah.
And then, yesterday, they dropped another trailer for Avatar The Last Airbender on Netflix, and every time I watch it, I love it.
Every time you watch, as in
the trailer.
Watched it multiple times.
Yes, I have. Because I ooh and ah over the characters that I never thought they would even have bothered to bring in. I'm like, look, they got the chick who rides the mole sniffing thing that sniffs you out by scent that the Fire Nation employed.
You're calling her by name.
They included that D-bag Jet, from the Lost Boys in the Woods gang.
Yes.
Who were kind of shady. They included the people, the kids who had taken over that air temple that Aang meets and are kind of reusing their technology and adapting the air temple, which at first Aang didn't like, and then he's like, I'm happy that there's still life at the temple, even though my people. But I was really impressed by how much it looks like they've managed to include.
Yeah.
So I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hoping. You still have to watch and suffer through the M. Night Shyamalan version.
I don't think I have
to watch Aang, the last Airbender. No, they called him Aang in the trailer for the Netflix version, so I was instantly excited.
They call him Aang in the movie for real?
It's not a meme for nothing.
Oh my god! How do you screw that up? That'd be like if you redid Star Wars or something, you call him Lake Skywalker. Like, oops, wrong name. We didn't really, yeah.
It's Skywalker.
Skywalker.
They can't figure it out. It's fine.
Wow. Maybe I do have to watch this.
I think the trailer looked good. The bending looked fantastic. The choreography. The characters looked so accurate.
The humor seemed to be there, which is, that's something you always worry about when you're going from a quote-unquote cartoon or animated, whatever you want to call it, to a live action. Sometimes it doesn't translate so well.
But Sokka felt like Sokka. He had his dry sarcasm. I like it. Yeah. I like it a lot. I liked seeing the Kyoshi warriors in action.
Yeah. It looked fantastic. I mean, fingers crossed. The way it looks has me excited.
I'm curious how much the first season of the show will cover. Is it going to cover the entire Book of Water? I mean, that's what M. Night Shyamalan thought he could do in one movie.
You can just condense all that into one.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Really? There's, sure, it's fine. It's fine.
It's not fine. It's definitely not fine. You'll see.
All right, now I gotta watch this.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll review it.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Be fun for everyone out there who doesn't have to watch it again, apparently.
You know how excited everyone was when that movie got announced? Everyone who'd watched the show on Nickelodeon, who fell in love with the show, and they're like, oh, wow, a live-action movie, it's going to be awesome. And then you watch it and you're like, I know I'm supposed to like this. Everything says I'm supposed to like this, but the math isn't mathing.
That's how I felt after The Last Jedi.
I know.
I was supposed to like this. What happened?
What happened indeed.
Yeah. But no, we'll give it a watch, or I'll give it a watch, unless you want to suffer with it. Or through it with me, I should say. All right. Well, then we'll review it at some point before it hits Netflix. But anyway, that's going to be all we got for this time. Now it's your turn. Take to the comments below. Tell us what you think of any and all of today's news, and let's talk some Star Wars or maybe some bending. And until next time, thanks for watching.